Sonic Adventure 2 is one of the highest ranked Sonic games to ever exist, and is commonly known as Sonic's farewell game. Like honestly, Sega company put their whole heart into that game. They were on the downhill with the consoles failing and this being the last Sonic game to ever release on the Dreamcast. It's because they couldn't keep up with Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, the big three of gaming. They had their mascot Sonic would never see the light again, and it made such a great story, which is why you see like Shadow dying at the end, every song being a literal banger, and why there's no Sonic Adventure 3 to exist today. We don't need a trilogy, everything's better in twos. But enough yapping, enough talking about that. I want to tell you guys how this game alone changed my childhood for the better. But hey, let's talk about it real quick. This video is actually part of a cool series called the 12 Days of Gaming. Very close to the 12 Days of Christmas, but it's for gaming. And I'm just talking about the things that I appreciated most during my childhood around Christmas time. I said earlier how well of a story this game turned out to be. Majority of Sonic games are a bit hard to keep up with as it comes to the plot, but this game is really easy given that I was in 2008 is where I actually first played it. Listen, I know you're thinking 2008 Dreams, that game came out in 2001, even the reboot came out in 2001. Yeah, I know. You think I learned how to read? You think I know how to do stuff when I'm 1 year old? I'm not as old as you guys, so I had to learn how to walk, talk, and probably understand how to use a damn controller. And when I did, my cousins and I indulged in this beautifully made game just years later. So with the story of my cousins, I would learn that our hero Sonic is actually getting painted as a villain. Boo! Tomato, tomato! My king ain't no villain. And when I learned that it was an imposter of a guy that looked just like Sonic and saw what this guy looked like, bro, I think it started to like villains a little bit. I was on my bullshit talking about, yep, I owe you an apology. I wasn't familiar with your game, head ass. Shadow's debut took us by storm as he's literally just Sonic with skates. Man, this guy could skate. I know you and I both did the same thing we're both thinking of. I don't know how I didn't know about Shadow up to the years of me being a Sonic fan. I mean, look, I was a Sonic fan in 06 and I played in 08. How did I not know who this guy was? So you probably were too, as eager as I was to see these two duke it out. Duel, who was really the #1 hedgehog? Who was the ultimate life form? But can we talk about one of the sickest intros to a game you could ever have? Starting off Sonic games, you typically had the blue blur bursting onto the scene on a full-out sprint. But this, escaping from a military from a helicopter and using their wings as a freaking snowboard on land. Rolling around at the speed of sound. Got places to go, gotta follow my rainbow. This is the Sonic that I personally loved, seeing that he was so rebellious, quick-witted, had a carefree behavior. It's something that I like as a character in general. Like you can think of Spike Spiegel, he's very like that too. And you get all of these cool assumptions of this character in the first level of the game. And if you've ever played a Sonic game before, this is an incredible intro to show you who Sonic really is, and he never changes like that throughout the story. I feel like his character arc just stays the same, but he just appreciates Shadow more by the end of it. As a youngin' whose views in life were pretty much black and white, good and evil, I could actually see a gray area finally. It took me this long to figure out that there's some gray areas in life. Yeah. At the time, Shadow isn't all that bad, or maybe I just liked him because he was just so cool. Whatever it is, it actually felt a little more comforting to know that there were some gray areas of life. And even by the time I'm realizing the Shadow Go's Super Saiyan form can't last as long as Sonic and has used all his power and falls down in space. When you defeat the ultimate life form and Shadow sacrifices himself, it feels like a somber end to this game. You see Sonic look out to the distance, remembering Shadow, someone who just wanted peace for a loved one. Had you young boys in the fields. Peak fiction. So when writing this video up, I decided to contact my cousin Cameron because he played the game as close to the age as me, probably remembered a lot more, or as just as well as I did. He listed 2 things that were really memorable about this game. 1, the Knuckles stage music, and 2, venturing off on side character storylines. He's 100% right. The idea of Knuckles tackling these greedy storylines with these hip-hop, funk, soul instrumentals in the background. These marvelous tracks were accompanied by a vocalist that added layers to the song. One of the main things is repetition that comes from hip-hop usually. Like I'm a hip-hop guy and you see like hooks and choruses being repeated back and over again to really get in the head of the listener. And they don't shy away from that in some bars, like don't let it hit you move, don't let it hit you move, don't let it hit you move, don't let it hit you move. Death chamber. Yes, I'll play the Knuckles song we all think of too.
You know me, the fighting freak Knuckles, and we're at Pumpkin Hill. You ready? I ain't going.
That's enough of that. It's easy for a game like this to impact your taste of music at a young age, and you probably fell into one of these few categories, such as being a hip-hop and rap fan, a rock and roll head, or maybe just being a video game music enjoyer. I would hope you don't put the latter in your Tinder bio. Sonically, no pun intended, this game is a rank S. My cousin had mentioned the side stories of these games are really meaningful as well, and by this he means Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, Rouge all have some phenomenal storylines. As Tails and Eggman are counterparts of each other and Rouge and Knuckles being the same, I actually didn't really too much enjoy the Tails and Eggman sections of the game. The Cinemecha suit is also pretty cool, but I feel like you enjoy it more if you just played it a lot more, and I don't know, maybe it's not me liking the platforming aspect of this game. Funny enough, this is a platformer game, you know, your funny dreams. It just didn't hit the same way as Knuckles and Sonic's routes. Well, now with that being said, this is a huge improvement to Sonic Adventure, where Tails is pretty much the exact same thing Sonic did half the time. And I don't care, I didn't play that game before playing this game. This is about my adventures. This is the Dreams Adventures 2 battle, okay? And I think also a little bit was because I didn't like Eggman, like at all. He was my #1 op. And Tails, which wasn't as cool as Knuckles or Shadow. So I wish I could talk a little bit more about every section I hit in this video, but let's be honest, if I were to talk about the music of this game, we'd be here for about like 20 more minutes. There are plenty of videos talking about that, and I just can't keep going over how phenomenal this music really is. And I think I like to pinpoint to one space on what I really enjoyed of this game, and that's just, it was a great 3D platformer of Sonic. And the future is bright with this series. They have this formula. They're going to keep going further. They're going to make it better in every single game. Sonic's going to be better than Mario in the future. Am I right? Am I right? Why are you looking at me like that? Is Sonic not good in the future?